What's up everybody, it's Robert Hall. In today's video, we're not going over any lighting. I'm not sharing any knowledge today. Instead, we are going to talk all about this photo by Annie Leibovitz. Now, if you haven't seen it already, this image is blowing up in a number of different circles, but of course in the photography community, because anytime Annie Leibovitz creates a new work, the entire photography community decides to weigh in on it. Now, I do want to provide some surface level analysis, things I love, things I dislike about the image, but what I really want to talk about is the Easter egg in the photo and kind of the hidden meaning that is in there, and just how that's something that we can apply and all learn from as photographers. So first off, this image just features superstars all around. I mean, you've got Annie Leibovitz as a photographer, widely considered the top portrait photographer of her generation. And then you've got the two biggest talents, arguably the two GOATs of football. We've got Cristiano Ronaldo on the right, and we've got Lionel Messi on the left. I might be butchering their names, the pronunciation of their names a little bit. I am not a soccer fan at all. See, exactly. I just called it soccer as we do in the US here. I do not follow football. I don't even watch American football, which should be called hand egg. And lastly, this is for Louis Vuitton, obviously a Goliath of luxury brands. Before we dive deep into the Easter egg that is hidden in this image, let's just give a rough talk about the photo, some things I like and dislike. First off, this was a composite. These two were not over the board playing chess against one another. They were not in the same room at all, and I think it's really well done. Second, I really like the lighting, the overall mood, as well as the color of the image, and I think that their posing looks great. One of the things that I really liked about the posing was the fact that I instantly knew whose move it was, right? And that could be really tough to communicate, especially for two people who don't play chess for a living, right? You have to go out of your way to make sure that pose comes off natural. And for me, I can tell right away that Messi is the one whose turn it is. Now, one thing that calls attention to me is Ronaldo's face. To me, it looks like it was heavily brightened in post, and I think that was due to like retain the same lighting direction and try to keep everything clean for the composite, that it just had to be brightened a lot in post. Because if you look at how dark it is right on his shirt, it just doesn't look like his face is receiving the same light as the rest of the images. It's also a little bit interesting that the Louis Vuitton luggage, which is what this campaign is all about, is largely covered in this image. I mean, it's not very apparent. It goes out of the frame, it's cropped out of the frame, and then you've got all this headroom on top. But I can sympathize that, because from an editorial photographer perspective, I know that you always have to leave room for copy, and it's likely that this is going to run with some extra words up here on the top, or information, details, offers, who knows. And I think the compositing was generally well done, except for these white pieces that are off the board, the taken white pieces that are sitting right here. They just look odd. And big portion of that is just the fact that they are in what is probably the darkest part of the photo. This edge right here of the luggage is just receiving so little light, but then the pieces that are right next to it are really bright, like on par with the brightness of the chess pieces that are on the table. And even the lighting direction, like this bishop piece right here, it's being lit from the left as if there is a significant light source from the left, and that just doesn't seem to match with the amount of fill light that is coming in on Messi's dark side. One thing that I'd like to add here is that one of the conversations that I'm seeing on this photo on social media across photography forums is photographers saying like, any of us could have taken that, or I know tons of photographers that can produce an image that good. And that doesn't matter. There's a reason that Annie's in that position that we are not, or any other photographer that can create this photo is not. And that's just because of her history. Whether you like it or not, it's because of what she has delivered before, the conversations that she has started surrounding her image. It's because she's proven herself to clients that she can deliver. So it doesn't matter if you're capable of creating this image, or it just doesn't seem complex enough to warrant such a budget. None of that matters. The fact is, she got there for a reason, and this is what she produced as a result. And just look at how much conversation that leads to surrounding it. Would you get that with anybody else? I don't think so. Now, why is it such a big deal that we have these two athletes in a photo? Again, not a football fan, but I think it's safe to say that these two are the two active players that are up for greatest of all time status. And both of them are very deep into their career. In fact, they are both now going to their 5th World Cup, which only happens every 4 years. So we're talking about 20-year careers of greatness here. Now, let's get into the Easter egg. On a surface level, we've got two people playing chess, right? And with the other things in the image, the cool toning, the deep focus and everything, it's obviously a tense game of chess. It's obviously close. I don't need to know a thing about chess to recognize that there is a lot of conflict. This is a very strong battle here. Now, I do think that the use of chess to explain mental battles, it's very basic, right? Maybe it's because I've spent a lot of time on internet forums, but to me, I've just always seen the phrase like 4D chess or playing chess as a term to describe mental battles. But what is on this chessboard is actually quite interesting and paints a far more detailed picture than just a tense game. Now, I am absolutely terrible at chess. I am like a couple hundred games beyond getting mated with the scholar's mate. If you know chess, you know that means I'm horrible. But I do know enough about chess to know that there are chess engines online and they can tell you a lot about a game of chess. So the first thing that I did when seeing this image was I wondered, is Annie trying to say something with the pieces on the table? And so I took the position that was on there and I put it in a chess engine, and what I discovered was that it was an exactly 0 advantage, which is surprising because if you don't know, there's a lot of pieces missing from that table, which means they're quite deep in the game. So right away, this image impressed me more because Annie's team went out of their way to communicate something with the chess pieces. And let's be real here, this is such a ripe opportunity for mistakes to be made. The fact that there's not a checkmate sitting on the table, or the amount of pieces is wrong, or there's 2 white bishops on light squares. Like, there are so many ways for this to go wrong, and this sort of thing goes wrong all the time in photography, where photographers try to set up some concept and end up completely miscommunicating with an image. One that comes to mind very recently is talent holding a guitar, and their hands are just doing horrible things to the guitar. I'm not sure which hand is worse here, the one that actually isn't hitting any of the frets, or the one that is just yanking on the strings on the other side, not making any type of pleasant noise whatsoever. And if you don't get that example, think about stock art, where the person holding the camera is not holding the camera up to their eye whatsoever. Like, they've got a waist level viewfinder and they're holding it in front of their face, or they've got a rangefinder in the wrong place. It happens all the time. People get stuff wrong, but when somebody goes the extra mile to use the accessories in a scene to communicate more, that is really great photography. Now, I already told you that the chess game has 0 advantage to either player, right? This is a dead even match near the end of the game, but it actually goes deeper than that. The game that is on the board is an exact position between 2 of the greatest players of chess, Hikaru Nakamura and Magnus Carlsen. Now, I'm not going to analyze the chess anymore beyond it because, like I said, I'm an amateur, and also there is a chess content creator named Gotham Chess, and he already has a great video breaking down the game that was played here and discusses how the game went back and forth, along with ultimately ending in a draw. This exact position is kind of the turning point of the game, where White's advantage was gone, Black leveled the playing field and pushed the game to a draw. And I just think that that elevates this image from using chess as a tool to kind of communicate tense mental conflict, and also communicates the tight race of who is the GOAT in the sport, as both of these athletes go into their 5th World Cup. And so I just have to say kudos. I don't know if it was Annie. Maybe Annie is playing chess.com when she's not uploading to Instagram. I don't know what Annie does in her spare time. Or maybe it's someone involved on the team. Maybe it's a stylist. Maybe some stylist, they were like, hey, we're going to play chess. Make sure it's not something stupid. And then that stylist just went out of their way to communicate even more here. Regardless, it's impressive, but ultimately the lasting impression that it leaves on me is, how can I, as a photographer, look for other opportunities to enhance the story of an image, even through minor details. Now, I'm not saying that my images have no additional meaning or thought behind them. I've certainly tried to explore this technique before. For instance, when I photographed this person who works on drone data, well, one of the things that I found that I thought communicated his position in an abstract way were these ceiling tiles that I could put in the air, and it combined geometry with an aerial position. And I thought that that was a very cool visual way to communicate what he does, at least more so than just sitting in front of a computer. But it's still both fun and a healthy exercise to progress as a photographer, to go through your own portfolio, look at things and say, where could I have expressed more? An image that I created that immediately stood out to me as having more opportunity for more layers was this photo where I showed a engineering student working on code. I really like this image, and it took me a lot to figure out how to get that code to show up clearly in his glasses, along with the exposure balances between lighting him and lighting a monitor and the ambient light coming in through the window. This image took a lot of effort to get to this state, but immediately I thought, like, what if I said something with that code on there? The code that he was looking at, could that have been something to attribute to his history or his ambitions or anything that could have added a deeper layer to that image beyond just looking visually interesting? Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. It is very different from what I normally post, so I hope that you found it enjoyable, interesting, or maybe inspirational to kind of look deeper into your own photography. If you did, make sure to hit that like button for me, subscribe for more of my videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.